say? The summer solstice. If you'd left Land's End at dawn, you could be at John O'Groats by sunset. I know I've done it. That is relevant, but it's not what I'm here to talk about. When I was a kid, about Arthur's age, unlike Phil, I didn't want to be an actor. I wanted to be an explorer, or a scientist, or an astronaut. And as I grew older, I realised that that wasn't going to happen because we've explored everywhere, and I'm too big to fit in a rocket. But I've recently discovered there are places where we can still go and explore, look around, visit new worlds, and do science with them, which is great, and I want to talk about my recent work in World of Warcraft. Now, doing a geophysical survey of somewhere like the World of Warcraft is kind of hard. For a start, it doesn't exist. Secondly, there are the locals who aren't always cooperative. And thirdly, the inhabitants of Azeroth don't have any units of measurement for things like distance. And because it doesn't exist, you can't just bring in a tape measure or a theodolite with you. So you've got to start making up your own units of measurement. So one goes back to the basis for an awful lot of human measurement, the human body. Because we know that a typical adult male walks at a speed of 5.6 kilometers an hour, that's 3.5 miles an hour. So you take a... Oh, no, I missed a slide. That is the World of Warcraft. Two main continents, Kalimdor, where the Horde live, Eastern Kings, where the Alliance Spit live, and Northrend, which at the moment is unexplored and very high level. So you take... You take your typical human male, who in this case would be a 29th level warlock with very dubious robes, and you find a straight line for him to walk. You then time how long it takes, apply math, you get the distance. Azeroth doesn't really do straight lines. They have problems with right angles as well, but if you look hard enough, you can find one. There we go, from the northern parapet of the bridge into Westfall, across the Elwyn Forest to the southernmost of 3 corners. And you can take it from me, it's straight and it's flat. And that takes our test subject 18 minutes and 15 seconds to walk, while occasionally being attacked by monsters. That's why he's no demon to see them off. 18 minutes, 15 seconds, that makes 1.7 kilometers. We extrapolate that to the world as a whole. Eastern Kingdoms works out at 14.25 kilometers tall, 5.6 kilometers wide. You look at the total land mass of the 2 occupied continents, and you get 113 square kilometers. That's not very big. That's about the same size as Newcastle, or to put it another way, the London borough of Hillingdon. And if you then say, well, this is clearly, it's a planet, it's not flat, it's a planet, and it's visible from various parts of the universe as a sphere, you wrap it around the sphere, you work out the diameter. It's 12 kilometers in diameter, which is, celestially, that's not very big. That's about as big as Cupid, which is one of Uranus's smallest moons, or to put it in a scale that might be more familiar. It's not very big. So, okay, that's horizontal measurement. Vertical measurement, we go to one of the very few authoritative works published on the World of Warcraft so far, being the World of Warcraft Game Manual by Hutchins, Catalan et al. 2005, which contains this chart. It never refers to this chart, but it's in there. We go back to our human male, assuming that he's the same as an Earth male, average height. Then the female Tauren, the Tauren are the cow people with the horns. Female Tauren must be exactly 2 meters, almost exactly 2 meters tall. So you can use that as a vertical ruler. Let's call her a ruler, why not? And then you find a nice tall building. You measure her at the bottom of it. You measure her at the top of it. You jump off a lot, and you time how long it takes to fall. You average that out. You get gravity. And the force of gravity on Azeroth works out almost exactly 1G. It's the same that we have here. But this is a 12-kilometer sphere. It's tiny. So it must be really dense. I'm not going to bore you with the maths, but the figure you get is 5,850 grams per cubic centimetre. That's 500 times, more than 500 times heavier than lead. So you've got an incredibly dense, very tiny planet. Now, this way the world works. If you've played Warcraft, you know if you drop an item you can't pick it up. It's not because of gravity. Hits the ground, very thin coating of super heavy dust, simply too heavy to lift. But more importantly, perhaps, you start getting bodies like this, small, massy. It starts having relativistic effects on the space-time continuum around it. Einstein's general theory of relativity says that the flow of time is affected by gravity. The closer you get to a gravitational mass, the slower time flows. And you can actually observe this happening. I know it sounds like you can observe it happening in the World of Warcraft. As you move through the world, time slows down, time speeds up in a way that's absolutely consistent with the general theory of relativity. This is a fantastic reason. Most people dismiss it as network lag. It's science. All of this assumes that the World of Warcraft is a sphere. However, I've recently discovered that you can walk to the edge and jump off. So clearly there's a lot more work that needs to be done in this field. This is an exciting new field. I urge you to come and join me in this research. I'm told there's even a game involved at some point as well. Thank you.